Good morning, all. Today's topic of discussion is Digital Design and Issues, Part 6. The objective of this lecture is to make the students familiarize with signal integrity issues in digital design. So, what is an engineering practice related to signal integrity? Ensure all signals transmitted and received correctly. Ensure signals don't interfere with one another in a way to degrade reception. And ensure signal don't pollute the electromagnetic spectrum. So whatever signal we want to transmit, that should be same signal should be received correctly without any interference and degradation and without polluting the electromagnetic spectrum. So these are the engineering practices. So we'll understand the term what is signal integrity. The signal can lose its integrity when it becomes distorted or when the SNR begins to degrade. That is the signal to noise ratio. SNR means signal to noise ratio. When the noise becomes more prominent as compared to the actual signal or original signal, then the SNR will start degrading. That is, signal will reduce and noise will increase. So the ratio, signal to noise ratio, will start degrading. So when the distortion is more, that is noise is more, we can say that the signal is losing its integrity. The signal distortion means that the waveform of interest begins to change the shape. So whatever signal we have sent, like suppose a sinusoidal signal or a digital square pulse signal. So if the shape of the waveform gets disturbed or there is a change in the shape of the waveform, then also we can say that the signal is distorted. The degree to which this happens before it becomes a problem depends very much on the application. So in some application, the noise tolerance may be higher, but in some applications, noise tolerance may be very less. So based on the application, whether that much distortion or noise is acceptable or not, that depends upon the signal strength, type of application, and the type of the noise. So we'll see one graph in which the speed performance issue of the system on chip is considered. So we have to study the signal integrity related to the chip design in the system on chip. So here the graph shows the technology scale on x-axis, and on y-axis we have the delay in picoseconds. So when the signal will be traveling on the different wires or interconnections in a chip, then what is the performance or speed that will get affected by which different factors, that is shown in this particular graph. This red color graph indicates the gate delay. So you can just see that as the technology scaling is reducing, you can see it is from 650 nanometers to 100 nanometers. The delay produced is reducing. So the graph is decreasing. As compared to that, if we will consider the other delay, that is the interconnect delay, then interconnect delay is increasing and the nature is exponential. So we can see the green color graph, and as the technology scale is reducing, the interconnect delay, they are causing more and more problems. And again there is variation with respect to the material which is used for making the interconnects, whether it is a aluminum and SiO2 or a copper and a low K material is used. Based on that, the graph is different. Like green is the graph for aluminum material and that faint blue is for the copper. So delay for copper is slightly less, but for aluminum material the delay is exponentially increasing. So the performance or the speed will degrade if the interconnect delay is more. So you can just imagine the significance of this interconnect delay. So generally we used to only check for the gate delays, that is called as the propagation delay. But as compared to the gate delay, the issue of interconnect delay is more prominent as we'll go for the low technology scale. So as it is going from 650 to 100 nanometers, the interconnect delay is becoming more and more prominent as compared to the gate delay. So what are the signal integrity issues for these SoC designers? Because these chip designers, they are facing the difficulty day by day. The chip size is reducing, but on the same chip size we are accommodating more and more devices. So the design size is increasing. The design which we are compacting on the same chip area, that is increasing. So as this will increase, the power consumption will also increase. And on the other side, we are decreasing the supply voltage to the chip. Previously it was 5 volt, then 3.3 volt, even less than that 1.2 volt or 5 volt chips are also available. So we are decreasing the supply voltage. So that will result into increase in the amount of power grid IR drop. So the power dissipation in the available chip area is increasing. As well as along with that, there is one more problem, that is the ground bounce on the chip. The ground points on the chip, they will not be at 0 volts, it will be some slightly higher voltage will be there present there, that is called as the ground bounce. So in the succeeding slides we will be coming across this ground bounce in more detail. So these problems are increasing as the ASIC and SoC designs move toward the gigahertz domain. The inductive reactances start becoming comparable to resistances. So along with the reduction in the technology scale or the size of the devices, we are moving towards the high speed of operation. We are moving towards the gigahertz domain. So as this operating frequency is increasing, the inductive reactances will also come into picture. So generally we used to consider the capacitive crosstalk between the two power lines which are running parallel. But as we'll go for the higher frequency operation, we have to consider regarding the inductive noise also. So we should provide the shield against the capacitive crosstalk as well as the inductive noise if we will be going for the higher frequency operation. So this is one chart which shows the signal integrity issues for SoC designer as per the type of the SoCs they are fabricating or designing. The first is ASIC, then ASSP, that is the application specific standard part. Next is microprocessor, and then the analog or RF design. For the analog or RF design, all the issues are very design dependent. So there is no standard practice over there, and the performances may greatly change with the design which is used for this analog or RF. But for these ASIC, ASSP and MUP, along with the technology scale, the issues are compared. Like for 0.35 micrometer technology, there are no issues for ASIC and ASSP. Only for microprocessor, the issues like IR drop, design around inductance and the crosstalk. These are the signal integrity issues. Now, as the technology scale is reduced to 0.25 micrometer, the issues starts arising for ASSP product also. As we'll go from 0.25 micro to 0.18 micrometer, the issues are there for ASIC, ASSP and microprocessor. And further, if we'll go on reducing the technology scale, all these issues are arising for all types of SoCs. So we have to study these issues in more detail. So the detailed issues of this signal integrity which we are going to study are rise time and signal integrity, transmission lines, reflection, crosstalk, power and ground noise and the ground bounce. So one by one we'll see each. So first we'll go for this rise time and signal integrity. the silicon size is shrinking dramatically and the transistor channel length is greatly reduced into the sub-micron range. This trend leads to the today's logic family operating at much higher speed. We are shifting towards gigahertz domain. The rise and fall time are of the order of hundreds of picosecond. So many signal integrity problems are directly related to the dV by dt or di by dt. Faster rise time significantly worsens some of the noise phenomenon such as ringing, crosstalk, and power or ground switching noise. So systems with faster clock frequency usually have shorter rise time and therefore they will be facing more signal integrity challenges. A product is operating at 20 MHz clock frequency, it may still get some signal integrity problems that a 200 MHz system will have when modern logic families with fast rise time are used. So whenever there will be a fast switching, the signal integrity issues will be more and more. The next issue that we are going to study is the transmission lines. So all the transmission lines have the basic parameter per unit length such as resistance, inductance, conductance and capacitance and unit length time delay and the characteristic impedance. So these issues will be there as per the structure. The transmission line structure will be formed and these particular parameters will exist on the chip, which are the formations of different types of combinations of the uh, structures in the chip like micro strip line, wire pair, radial transmission line. Next issue that we have to study is the reflection. If the trace length is infinite, the wave or pulse will never reflect back and won't distort the signal. So whenever the signal will be traveling, if the proper termination is not done, some signal will get reflected back and this reflection will distort the original signal. And then that signal integrity will come into, that issue will come into picture. So we should make it look like an infinite length by terminating with high impedance equal to the characteristic impedance. So if the wires will be terminated with a proper impedance, then this reflection problem can be minimized or nullified. Wires must be absolutely identical everywhere along the length. The next issue that we are going to discuss is the crosstalk. The crosstalk caused by the EM coupling, that is electromagnetic coupling between the multiple transmission lines running parallel. Generally the power lines or different signal lines like data lines, they will be running parallel and there will be a electromagnetic coupling between these lines and that will cause the crosstalk. The adjacent quiet signal line that may lead to the false logic switching, like on one line that 5-volt signal is running, other line is suppose grounded, but because of this electromagnetic coupling, that 0-volt line may also pick up some signal from the parallel running line and then that will result into the false signal. The crosstalk will also impact the timing on the active lines if multiple lines are switching simultaneously, just as the example of data lines. So multiple data lines will be running parallelly and there will be continuous switching at a higher speed when the data will be transmitted or received. So at that time there may be a crosstalk between the different parallel lines and the false signal may be generated. Depending on the switching direction on each line, the extra delay introduced may significantly increase or decrease the sampling window. So the delays will also cause some problem. Now how to reduce this crosstalk? So we can place the traces in a strip line environment. We can minimize the distance between trace and the plane. We can maximize the separation between the traces. We can add the ground guarding band in between the signal lines and one can make the lines space apart. So this last option is a very easy option, but if we'll keep the line space apart, then the chip size will increase. So these are the different options for reducing the crosstalk. So we can have the interlude power or ground. So you can just see alternately the VDD and VSS lines are running parallel to each other. So this will also reduce the crosstalk. Then the next signal integrity issue is the power or ground noise. So in chip package and printed circuit board, power ground plane with a via form the power distribution network. So in the VLSI chip, there are multiple layers, and these layers are interconnected with the help of wires, just like the plated through holes in case of a PCB. So here we have wires with the help of which the different planes of power and ground they are interconnected, and generally to reduce the noise, the power and ground planes are separated. The transient currents drawn by the large number of devices switching simultaneously can cause the voltage fluctuations between power and the ground plane, and the simultaneous switching noise or the delta 1 noise or the power ground bounce. So the ground lines will not remain at 0 volts, there will be some slightly higher voltage that will be produced. So how that is produced, that we'll see in the next slide. The simultaneous switching noise will slow down the signal due to the imperfect return path constituted by the power or ground distribution. So the path which will be return path will be there, and if the path length will be different, then that will also cause the problem. Now what is the supply and ground bounce? How the signal is not exactly equal to 0 volt at these lines. So you can just see one typical output circuit is shown, which is consisting of the two MOSFETs. Uh, the names are Q1, Q2, and these are excited by the control inputs A and B, and we have the output. So this supply and ground bounce is defined as variation in the ground voltage due to the impedance on the ground wires. So here that reference B is nothing but our ground point, and reference A is nothing but our VCC point. So when there is a variation in the ground voltage, means at reference B actually we should get 0 volts, but if the voltage is not 0 volt and it is slightly greater than that, then it is called as the supply or ground bounce. So ground voltage gets bounced to some higher voltage. So let us see how it is there. A and B are the control inputs, and they can turn on the NMOS transistors at the high logic. So when the high voltage will be applied, the NMOSFETs will become on. The output is high when Q2 turns off. So whenever that lower MOSFET will be off, at that time the Q1 will be on and the output voltage will be high. Similarly, the output is low when Q2 turns on. So whenever the lower transistor will be on, output will be connected through Q2 to ground. At that time, Q1 will be off. So when the signal transitions from high to low. So when the transistors initially transistor Q1 will be on, Q2 will be off, and then the vice versa. So during that, the output transition will be there from high to low. So there is some inductance in the very small lead wire between the chip itself and the lead carrier of the package. So the chip is fitted at the center, and from that chip small connections are taken outside and connected to the pins, outer pins of the package pins of the chip. So that wire is having some inductance. This inductance is very small, but it is significant. And consider what happens the moment Q2 turns on and Q1 turns off. So as soon as your Q2 is turned on and Q1 is now off, what will happen? The current flows through the inductance in the lead. So as soon as Q2 will be made on, the current will start flowing through the inductance. That point, reference B point, is it is connected to ground through the inductor. So you can just see the second diagram in which the effect of that internal impedance is shown. Reference is not grounded directly because the wire which is connecting this reference B to the outer package pin of the chip, it is having some inductance, and because of that, as soon as your Q2 is turned on, the current will start flowing through the inductor, and the voltage across this inductor is directly related to the change in current. So that is given by the formula V is equal to L di by dt, where L is the lead inductance, that is from that reference B to the outer package pin of the chip, that is the inductance. So di by dt is related to the rise and or the fall time of the device. So how much uh, change of current with time will happen over there, that depends upon the rise and fall time of the device. The faster the rise and fall time, smaller dt will be there, and hence di by dt will be greater. So if the device is faster, dt, that the time in which there will be switching, that will be small, and hence di value will be more. So change in current will be more. So as Q2 turns on, the output voltage starts to fall, because when Q2 will be made on, output has to be grounded. So the voltage at reference is relative to the ground rises because of the current spike through the lead inductance, and thus the voltage does not fall all the way but bounces above the ground because of this inductive drop. So this phenomenon is called as the ground bounce. So this ground bounce is again one major issue related to the signal integrity, and that is due to the inductance of the leads. Thank you.